Welcome to Evangelicalish, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the American evangelical church, deconstruction, faith, and God's love through it all. And make sure and stay current on ish happenings on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Evangelicalish. That's evangelical with an ish. Now to Paul, Jeremy, and April on this episode of Evangelical-ish. And hey, everyone, glad you're with us on Evangelicalish tonight. Gang is all here. I'm Paul.
I'm April.
And I'm Jeremy.
We are all here and glad to be here. Glad you're here. Make sure and check out our website, evangelicalish.com, evangelical with an ish.com for all the good stuff. And glad to be with you on our episode tonight. And April, I'm sensing you have a word for us tonight.
Wow, the Holy Spirit has moved very strongly through you because I do have a word.
I'm opening my hands to receive it.
Yes, please bow your heads and close your eyes to receive the word.
Take my hat off.
Just kidding. No, it got weird. So I do have an announcement, and so I want to preface this by saying that I have never missed an episode of Evangelicalish. I have perfect attendance.
This is true.
The only member of the Ish crew with perfect attendance.
Is that still right?
It is. I've never missed an episode.
Oh
I've had
gosh.
COVID twice and a stomach bug once.
Including the first episode you had COVID.
I know, the very first one. And here I am.
Didn't you have like an eye swollen
I had
closed?
pink eye for another episode. I literally looked like someone beat me up. So anyway, all that to say is I have saved up my absences for such a time as this. And so basically it's good and it's exciting, but my life is very, very chaotic right now in a good way. I am writing a book and I have a deadline in the summer, and also we are moving to Kentucky from Tennessee in the next couple months as well. And so I also am a mom and I have children that one of them does not go to school full time. So Beecher and I were like, oh my gosh, something's got to give. I am not going to be able to do all of this. So I am taking a, 2-month sabbatical, couple months. I'll be back in the summer at some point, and I am just taking a break from Evangelicalish. I will miss you all. But the show will go on because it's show business, right? When I told Paul and Jeremy about this, they were like, yes, you need to leave. And I am submitting to male headship and their advice. I know Jeremy told me not to make that joke.
I said, please don't make that joke.
Male headship.
Yeah. Or, if this is like a church, it'd be like, because I did something. I probably had an affair, and I'm just taking time to really focus on myself and my relationship with Jesus. I did not have an affair.
No sketchy DMs that your spouse knew about, but like.
I get sketchy DMs, but nothing from me. I received them. I'm not putting them out there.
Did you ride in a car with a man that wasn't your husband? And
yes, I've broken the Billy Graham rule, and as my punishment, I am banished from co-hosting duties. Kate said that she was expecting the word from me to be vibrator. I will not be taking a sabbatical from that. So
ever.
Gotta keep mama happy. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
It's the only way you're making it during this difficult time.
Yes, that's true. So anyway, I am going to miss you all. So if you are wondering where I am in the next couple months, I am very busy is the answer to that. But it's really exciting, and I'm excited to share more information when I come back and more details. The book won't be out for at least like a year and a half. But
and we're excited for you as long as it's not a tell-all book.
Well, it is a tell-all it's not about y'all.
Okay.
I'm not telling all about y'all.
I didn't love that pause.
That's fair. It's fair. Timing is everything.
We are excited for you, and that's going to be super cool. So we were glad to give you the time off so you could work on that and do great things. But you did assure us you are coming back, and we will hold you to that.
Yes, I'm definitely coming back. I'll be back sometime in the summer, probably in a new state, because Tennessee is crazy right now. Understatement.
I don't know if your trade is like the best, but
I will say I'm going from like hot, fiery red, like hellfire red, to like maroon.
How crazy is your state if you're like, I'm moving to Kentucky to get out?
Let me tell you what I need.
That has Mitch McConnell and Rand
Paul. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I know, but we're going to a blue city. We're going to a city. So, hopefully it won't be hate crime to there.
And we have to admit, sorry to interrupt, April, but Donald Trump and Lindsey Graham and these guys are making Mitch McConnell look somewhat reasonable, which is really scary where we are today.
Well, and Rand Paul actually argued not to ban TikTok.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I agree with that.
We're his buddy.
Which makes me want to hurl. But anyway, I am not leaving you alone.
You're not leaving us or forsaking us.
I am sending you the Holy Spirit. No, I'm just kidding. We've had Janice Legata on the show before. She used to work, you weren't paid, right? Voluntold for Hillsong New York. Mm-hmm. So we had her on back when the Hillsong doc came out last year. It was probably right around this time, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, Janice is going to guest host in my stead for a few weeks. So welcome, Janice. I guess I should hand you a baton to
pass the proverbial torch.
Carry it on, carry forward.
I'm just excited that the Holy Spirit is a Black woman. Like, that is the best part of today.
Yeah.
She always has been.
She, her pronouns.
Yes.
Don't tell evangelicals, but the word for Holy Spirit is a feminine noun in the New Testament.
It is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say, number one, congratulations on your Iron Man streak that'll probably never be beaten. Today is episode 80, so you've officially done 80 episodes in a row. I checked the stats real quick on our pod.co. Yeah. And then also, I think we would absolutely be remiss without just saying we appreciate you as a staple, as a cornerstone for what the community that we're building here. And we're going to miss you like crazy, but we understand that these opportunities are so amazing for you and for your family. And we're so crazy proud of you. And we love you a whole bunch. And we hope that the book is just absolutely incredible, has a ton of success, and that the new change for you and Beecher is just amazing as well. So you're incredible. Your family is incredible. And we're grateful for the opportunities that y'all are having right now.
Oh, Jeremy. Bear. Can I call you that?
You the bomb.
I feel so awkward when people say nice things to me. And I'm like, oh, Bear.
That's so funny. So my wife calls me that, but some students at my job heard my wife say that on the phone the other day. And now they think it's hilarious. So,
oh, awesome. Okay.
All right, April, you are going to get raptured out of here now, aren't you?
I am. I am leaving. I am done. Janice, I love you. You're hilarious. I'm actually a little jealous of the conversation y'all are going to have tonight because I have thoughts, but I trust that y'all will say everything that I'm thinking anyway. So,
well, you have a Holy Spirit who will intercess on your behalf. So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll do my best.
Praise be under his eye. I hope when I come back, we are not living in the Handmaid's Tale.
Praise be.
Woo, on that note.
All right, April. Thank you for sharing with us. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye, April.
All right. And Janice is here. And interestingly, your old boss, who was suspended from preaching or something there happened, is now back at it again, we understand.
Back in the game. Yep.
Wait, Carl Lentz is now, where's he pastoring now?
He's over there in Jeremy's neck of the woods.
Yeah. Transformation Church. He and Michael Todd on the same staff.
Yeah. So that's a baton I have handed to you, Jeremy. Congratulations. It's a boy.
Come get you. It's a boy.
Good luck.
He's a grown baby man. Yeah. I listen. If we're gonna have a custody battle, I'm gonna let you have.
There's no battle. No.
Full custody of this child.
No, he needs a man. He needs a man's influence. It's time for him to grow up. So I've done all I could. I failed.
He needs a man in his life who's not Justin Bieber.
I failed. I'm proud of you for being able to admit your shortcomings.
Did he get taken out at Hillsong, or did he step down? What exactly? I don't remember. I saw the documentary, but I don't remember.
He was taken out.
Okay. I'm sure he's repentant though, and he's worked through his
of course
repentance process.
It's been two years. He's all fixed now.
Yeah.
Restored, better than ever. And again, congratulations, Jeremy.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
I don't know why you keep congratulating me on this. Not a prize I wanted. So he was taken out. And part of the thing is that they mentioned things past his extramarital affairs as more justifications of why they had to fire him. They said that his, abuse of relationships and women and those kinds of things, they acted like that wasn't enough on its own.
No.
And so Brian Houston, basically accused him of being a usurper and that he was trying to take over the Hillsong brand and become more important. And that's rich coming from Brian Houston.
So abusing the women in your, around you isn't enough. You have to come against the leadership. Well,
when you peel back the curtain, what you find is it wasn't enough because Brian Houston himself had some things back behind there.
Right.
So, if it's enough to fire him, we don't want that bullet to ricochet. So I think that was the issue. But yeah, so he's with Michael Todd, the guy who spit all over the dude's face. Many of y'all are familiar with that, but they're together, same squad. It's like an NBA super team or something.
How often do you get asked about Hillsong, Janice?
It depends. Lately, because Hillsong is in the evangelical news all the time, it is the topic of conversation. But occasionally I'll get a good 3-day stretch with no mention of Hillsong. But yeah, April will be back before that happens again, I'm sure.
Very well. Well, another person that needs to be repentant, perhaps, is one Donald J. Trump, the former president of the United States, or current president, if you listen to some folks. And I thought, Janice, you sent us an interesting video. I think I'll share just a little bit of this. This was, what was this? A evangelical prayer time for President Trump today?
Yeah, there was some kind of prayer call, and he jumped in on it. So he was on it, but then all these evangelical leaders speaking over him and praying for him, and yeah, I couldn't even listen to all of it because I'm like, it's too much.
All right,
too much for me.
Let's cringe over it a little bit, just for fun. Let's see, how do I do this?
Mr. President, we just want you to know, how much we love you, how broken we are. It was absolutely sickening today to watch what you went through. You're on our hearts, sir. You're in our prayer. I am moved like never before to stand with you, stand behind you. There's one verse of scripture, and then I'm going to pray. Isaiah 59:14, justice is turned back, and righteousness stands afar off, and the truth this day has fallen in the streets. And
I've watched him consistently over the years as a great father, husband, boss, businessman,
Great husband.
gospel, friend, entertainer, and ultimately president. And he has fought faithfully, tirelessly, and led righteously through it all.
We're being discriminated against as a religion. We're being discriminated against as a faith, and we can't let that continue. I'm fighting very hard for the people of our country, but I'm fighting very hard for people of religion, people that believe in God, people that believe in faith, and it's an honor.
In the midst of this chaos, in the midst of this pain, righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. And truth and love will always lead the way as attendants. God Almighty, protect and vindicate President Donald Trump. Please protect and vindicate the most pro-life, pro-religious liberty president in American history.
Holy crap.
What?
You've got to be kidding me.
That last one was, well, they were all cringe, but
But
yeah.
What do you say?
what do you say to that? And like for that first one, seeing what happened to you, like the man just walked into a court, like nothing happened to him. But like these are the same people who I've never seen them get stirred up about like literal people being murdered on video and like watching that in the name of justice, and nothing to say about that. But this man who, any other person, just comply. If you have nothing to hide, the legal system will work. Just have faith in the justice system. All these rules and advice for everybody else. But this guy, it's the worst thing in the world that you had to walk into. Like, you weren't arrested. You turned yourself in. This was all very, very civilized, very nice. His trial's not even till what, like the end of the year? Like
December, yeah.
like you just walked in, got some paperwork, and walked out. And these people are losing their mind. Like they just cannot cope. And it's like, what timeline is this? What are people seeing this? Like they can't be serious.
No, they're not seeing it. And I think you raise a really, really great point with the, the line that you draw between that and, things that we've watched with George Floyd and so many other instances just like that one. And it's devastating to hear these folks continue to pledge their faith and allegiance to this man and pour their faith into him. And so it's dangerous. I don't know. I'm just such at a loss for words. What do you think, Paul?
I am too. I remember interviewing the writer of Jesus and John Wayne, and I've told this story a little bit before, but back in 2019, really at the beginning of COVID, and she made the statement that Christians did not hold their nose and vote for Donald Trump. Evangelicals didn't hold their nose and vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the guy they wanted as president. They wanted a scumbag, terrible person to be their Messiah. We love the rogue cop that says screw the rules to go get righteousness. And I was like, I don't, maybe, I don't know. That's a little harsh. She nailed it, Kristen Dumais. I mean, listen to these people. Like, how can you? Paula White says, a great husband. He's literally being arrested because he was nailing a porn star and another woman while Melania was pregnant, and then paid them off through illegal means not to tell.
Yeah.
And he's a great husband. I mean, it's incredible how rules for thee, not for me. It's, by the law and order people of the law and order party.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was just thinking is, we're the party of law and order. And that, I mean, he was the one who trumpeted that over and over and over again, especially during protests. And so, to see this play out this way is just absolutely egregious. And the system only works when it works in my favor is kind of the vibe, right? Like, the system is only valid if it validates me. And so that's been the most challenging thing, I think, to watch about all of this. And I don't know. I can't imagine justifying him as like a family man and a person of faith. Also, the comment about him being the greatest president for faith and freedom and all that other stuff. Like, what are we even talking about? What Kool-Aid did they drink?
Well, and Janice, your point is spot on. That why not just comply? You won't have any problem with the system if you comply.
Right. But it's all, I don't know, it gets frustrating sometimes because I feel like on this side of things, we're trying so hard not to dehumanize people, to like always be using the right words. So I can't call them stupid because that's ableist. And so we have to be so careful about what we say. And I don't even believe in the prison industrial complex, and I don't believe in our justice system, but now I have to kind of hope in it and then, be happy that, oh no, he was treated so well. So it's like we're trying to be our best selves, and then they just get to be their worst selves all the time. Like, never mind that this man came in, like his number one chant, lock her up. All he wanted to do was see Hillary Clinton in jail, right? But now they're like, how are you guys celebrating this? And we're not our country. We don't lock up our leaders, and we don't.
Democracy
Wait a minute,
is gone.
Right. This is what he was calling for. This is what he wanted. This is what you've wanted for everybody else. But this guy and this guy, like, it's frustrating too, because I'm like, man, we fell for like the stupidest okey doke. Like, he's not even. He's not charming. He's not smart.
Hey, that's statism against Jeremy's state there, that term there. I hope you're not offended, Jeremy.
We have Carl Lentz. I will take it at this point.
And then like it's all connected, right? Because even like Jensen Franklin, to see him on that call, I'm like, well, I know him from Hillsong. He was one of the regular conference people. And then for like Paula White, I'm like, has TD Jakes ever apologized for like releasing this evil on us? Like, all of these things are just so connected and so tied. And like what is happening with Trump is not any different from what's happening with Carl Lentz, and like these things that we just see over and over again. And it's like, I don't know, what do we do? How do we get out of this?
Has TD Jakes ever apologized? I think that's great. Actually, I want to make a stance on this show right now. I want to call for an apology from TD Jakes. Like,
yeah.
TD, when you download this episode, as you inevitably do every week, I need you to offer an official apology for releasing the wrath of Paula White.
Yeah.
But I think you make such a valid point there. It's really bad. Like it's not even good sleight of hand, right? Like, it's just like, look over here while and so I think, but it goes back again to, it's only valid if it validates me. It only matters if it matters to me. And I think we as a society, probably in America, have gotten really bad about wanting the things that only benefit us and not the things that benefit the greater good. And that's what we're really, I think, talking about at the end of the day here, is the issue that there's no desire to see laws, decisions, executive choices made to benefit the greater good of our neighbors and our friends and the people around us versus what's best for me, what's best for the people that look like me, smell like me, talk like me, dress like me, act like me, live in the neighborhood with me. Like, that's the issue. And until so many of us take those blinders off, either either the intentional blinders or the subconscious blinders, we are going to continue to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I mean, I think COVID was such a good opportunity for all of us to stop and look at all of our systems. And we saw that, oh, nothing works. Like everything about our society and how we do things and how we work and how we live, it's all out of whack and it's all out of balance. And like we had this chance to do something different and we just didn't. But like to look at our government and to be like, oh, this is supposed to be a government, for the people, by the people. But then like you look at someone like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm like, what are you doing in New York? Is this what your people asked you to do? But it's like they're here and you got all this energy to run after Donald Trump and support Donald Trump, and nobody cares what their people think. So Tennessee, I'm like, I can't even wrap my head around how are you just expelling, members of your house for standing with their people.
Yeah.
And again, who is supposed to be watching us? Who is going to come and fix this? Because we keep saying you can't do that. And again, we're all trying to be law abiding and kind and civilized, and they just take it and they just run with it because what are they going to do?
Well, I'm old enough almost. I can sort of remember Watergate and certainly have studied it. And what happened there is Richard Nixon was as evil as Donald Trump. A lot smarter, but not, but equally as evil. But he had people in his own party that came and said, "Stop! This is not good," and he resigned. We don't have any of those adults left. Trump has so normalized this behavior, and I've heard people, and even had a good friend of mine on Facebook say, this is not a day to celebrate. This is a sad day for America. I remember the day Bill Clinton got impeached and it was like, something, America has been besmirched a little bit. But today I just can't feel that. And so being a former pastor, I went to the Bible and looked at this. There's this proverb that says, when the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. And when the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy. And so I guess I want to give us permission to say, like, we can have shouts of joy when this evil guy, and I don't know if Trump is evil or amoral. I don't even know what to call him, but he's normalizing evil, and he's making it so, like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying really wacky, crazy, horrible, evil stuff. We just kind of go, oh, look at her, how silly she is. And yeah, I think we're all looking for some adult in the room to stand up and say, hey, this has got to stop, and that there just isn't that adult there anymore.
Right. And those adults are coming, right? This Gen Z, they are going to change things if given the chance. But like the Republicans know that. And so like, how are we talking about whether or not to raise the voting age? Like, you guys have all the energy in the world to do crazy things to keep you in power, because that's all it's about. Like just maintaining your power and making sure that this country continues to prioritize the cishet white man and make sure he gets to remain in the seat of power he's always had badly. Like, we all want to love the Constitution and love whatever, but like, it's all bad, guys. It's always been bad. Like, it's an awful foundation, and I don't know how we fix that without just tearing a bunch of deep shit up. And starting over in a lot of ways.
Have the empire collapse, perhaps.
I was thinking about something when you said that. That perspective is so good. I was thinking about, so often, and I remember hearing this in my, talking about white cishet men, especially in my evangelical career. I found myself in a lot of those circles, and being one myself, like, I just remember, like, there was always this narrative around like people who were marginalized, or especially people who were going through like a season of poverty or something like that, like, or homelessness, or the folks, especially folks who were like on welfare or something like that. There was always this narrative of like, well, if they worked as hard at an honest day's job as they did trying to work the system or whatever, then they just be so much better off. Like they need to use those skills for good instead of trying to take advantage of everyone or whatever, and which is absolutely racist and all sorts of bigoted rhetoric. But they're guilty of the exact same thing, and that's the realization I'm having as you're sharing that with us, Janice, is that they are using their skills, their knowledge, their ability to game the system just from the top instead of the bottom. And so they're gaming the system from up here, doing the exact same thing. Well, what if you use your skills for good and better, and all of those things? So that's absolutely ridiculous, and I think you raise a really valid point. That's solid.
And it's hard because so many things, even in evangelicals, I'm like, even looking at Hillsong, and I'm like, oh, like if you just come in today, you wouldn't know the history of it. But when things start kind of falling apart, and then you look back and you're like, oh no, this also was built on a really bad foundation. And sometimes like it breaks my heart. Like I think about the choice Brian Houston had, like if we're gonna go with his story and pretend that he actually only found out about his father, when he did, and when he was given his decision or whatever. But like, imagine if he had stopped then and said, oh my goodness, look at all this damage my father did. And now let me take my power and my privilege and turn around and restore these people. Like if Hillsong had just been his effort to pay these people, pay for their therapy, like restore, but instead to choose, no, those are just casualties. Those are just, the price somebody had to pay. So now we're just going to cover that up, and we're going to keep moving in pursuit of this power. And like, for what is the end goal here? Because it's not helping. It's not good.
It's not justice for all, is it?
No.
And it's interesting, truly the Republicans have played the long game here, and I think it's worked out beyond their wildest dreams. And as you say, in some ways, Janice, this has always been present, but the story of abortion as a political religious manipulation tool, and Jerry Falwell being angry at Jimmy Carter for forcing him to integrate Liberty College, which is now Liberty University, and Bob Jones University being forced to integrate its student body, made them hate Jimmy Carter. And they worked with a Republican operative named Paul Weyrich, who said, hey, racism isn't going to sell. He may have been wrong about that, we know now, but at the time he felt like racism wasn't going to sell. But abortion, we can weaponize that, and we can manipulate Christian voters. And you can just tie a straight line from that to where we are today and Trump being elected, and it's worked beyond their crazy, wildest dreams.
Yeah.
And you ask what I mean, if you look at history and the Bible, cultural, governmental collapse is the only thing sometimes that can fix these things. And we may, like you say, unless a couple of generations die off and the Zers save us, we may be headed that direction ourselves, and empires do end,
Always, like 100% track record.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know, like I think about the US and I'm like, oh, like, I mean, are we still number one? I mean, we say that, but like, we're not good. But we have, our bases everywhere. So that's how we maintain our power. But I'm like, I think it would be nice to not be number one. Like I would like to not fall to the bottom. Maybe we could just be number 2 or 3 for a while and get our shit together and, come back. But empires end, like they just do. And so like the clock has always been ticking. And I think we're there now. And it's just trying to figure out, how to fall as gracefully as possible, I guess.
And that we've stayed number one at the cost of so many others around the world.
That's the beautiful picture I think that you both painted, was this idea of like collateral damage, right? Like it was like you were mentioning the Brian Houston situation, and well, these folks were just kind of in the way of the bulldozer. It's kind of the Mark Driscoll thing, right? Like either get on the Marsville bus or get run over. And so instead of having grace and compassion for those who can't seem to get on the bus or get out of in front of the bulldozer or whatever the case is, just like, well, I guess you're fodder for these tires. And that's kind of that is the American dream. Is I want to have the biggest, baddest bulldozer so that I can pave the road I want to pave. And if you're in my way, then that just means you're collateral damage. That's the American dream. It's not the white picket fence for everyone and, 2.5 kids or whatever the average is now. And, the dog and that whole thing. That's not the American dream. The American dream is I want to build the biggest, baddest, life for me and for the people around me as I possibly can, and everybody else can get fucking wrecked. And that's just what they've decided it is. And so it is dangerous. It is disgusting. And, it's selfish. And I tell people all the time that it's every major nation or every world superpower has lasted. You look at down through the centuries, like they usually last about 250 years before a major shakeup. Like it's just historical. And knock, knock. Grandfather time undefeated.
By the way, to what you're saying, Jeremy, don't you remember when Jesus said, "You get yours and tell other people go find their own"? Remember, all those teachings he did along that line?
Yeah. When he said, go invest as much as you possibly can and make sure you get as much as you possibly can. And,
build the biggest storehouses.
Yeah, build the biggest storehouses, shove everything you can in there. Fuck your neighbor.
That will show how righteous you are.
Get mine. Yeah.
By the way, Ron DeSantis signed into law this week secretly, without any ballyhoo whatsoever.
Who is watching us? Who is in charge?
Any
Tom, Dick, Harry, or Jane now can carry a gun in Florida. I mean, it's crazy. I always said, like, make America great again meant that Republicans wanted to take us back to the 50s. I didn't realize it was the 1850s that they wanted to go back to.
Listen, here in Oklahoma, we have had open carry for a long time. So we could be seeing Carl Lentz in the deep V-neck, strapped, going down the street here in Oklahoma now, which there's part of me that wants to see that just for the chuckle I will get, but it scares me to death also. But yeah, we've had open carry in Oklahoma for a long time. And actually the sheriff in the county next to mine, actually has legitimately a posse. They are people who have been deputized by the sheriff. They are, citizens and not like veterans or anything like that. They are civilians who have been deputized by the sheriff of that county, that if there's an emergency, they can throw on their badge and grab their AR-15s and go protect the community.
My God.
I heard that Trump likes to grab posses.
Grab them by the posse, yeah.
Sorry, I'm like 7 years old. I couldn't help it.
Well, we said there was no adult in the room. Janice said that. Like, grab them by the posse.
Grab them by the posse. On that note, maybe we should take a mid-roll break and come back and talk a little basketball. How about it? Let's do it.
Hey, did you know that we have Evangelicalish merch now? Sport your ish merch and spread the word about our community. Check it out at evangelicalish.com. Now back to the Evangelicalish podcast.
All right. So if I do this, can you see me?
Oh, wait, no. now we're in trouble because you guys can do it, but I did it. Now
Oh, yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
an
yeah.
issue.
Now
You
you are
were
being disrespectful.
Classless.
Okay.
and
Classless.
aggressive,
No
a
class
thug.
here.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh gosh, I felt terrible even saying that. Forgive me, I felt horrible. Yeah, so we saw this in the women's national championship basketball game, which I think, if I'm not wrong, it was the most watched women's tournament game in history, LSU and Iowa. And Angel Reese, an LSU player, made this gesture in the face of Caitlin Clark, a white Iowa basketball player. Angel Reese is a person of color, and Twitter lost its mind.
But let us not forget, the best part is that it was in response to Caitlin Clark, who had done it in the Final Four game just prior to that, done the exact same thing, and everybody thought, "Wow, what a hero!
What a competitor!
What a competitor!"
Fiery.
Yeah, she is absolutely a stone cold killer. Like, she has got ice water in her veins. Also, you mentioned that she's a white basketball player from Iowa. I feel like I don't know if there's any other kind of basketball players. It's Iowa. Yeah. So LSU comes out ahead. Really tight game, and the favor was returned. And was she a competitor? Was she fiery? Was she, all of those things? Absolutely not. She was classless, evil. Yeah.
Just unbelievably the worst. Just the worst. Just.
Yeah. So I think. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I mean, I don't know if this is an appropriate question to ask, Jens, but from your perspective, I mean, what is that experience for you to see your country, your people, all of us as a people, and then as well as the subset of people of color? I mean, what is that experience for you like to see? It's just blatant racism. What is that experience like for you, if I may ask?
It's weird because it's hurtful, but it's not as hurtful as probably it should be, because it's not surprising to us. This particular incident has actually been really, really kind of good in a sense. Just seeing Angel's response and seeing how Black Twitter, how the Black community and allies have just rallied behind her. And in this one, not giving an inch, no, she did it too, so she should be and it's no, she can do what she wants. This is a basketball game. These girls are competing. Nobody put hands on anybody else. This is literally just trash talk. That is just part of the game. And if you don't like it this time, choke on it. We don't care. We don't care. And it's been really nice to see that. And it, for me, I was thinking about it, and as disparate as these conversations seem, talking about Carl Lentz and talking about Trump and now talking about this trash talk, I'm it's the same thread running through all of it. And even, with Angel Reese and kind of looking at the reactions. And so when the Black community doesn't back down, and when she doesn't back down, and she's not giving an apology, and she's saying, no, you don't like it? Too bad. And Joe Biden, you want to invite Iowa to the White House? We're not coming. Forget it. Just holding that line. And so then people have to switch it up. So now, we don't want them to say that we're racist. So now we're just going to say, well, okay, both of them are unladylike. So now we're going to say that women shouldn't be able to trash talk. That's not ladylike. And just thinking about, even what Jeremy was saying about, the welfare system and how, they're talking about people stealing from the system or whatever. And I'm but when these things happen, you can tell it's supremacy behind it because of the next person that they throw under the bus. So take welfare, and, you're trying to hurt Black people. Fine, but you're hurting more white people, because as much as you want to, whatever you want to believe about welfare queens and whatever, there just aren't enough of us to be the top of anything. So if you're going to strip us of our benefits, you're going to hurt, our 13% of the population, but the other 80% of the people that's white people, and that's who you're hurting. So now you can't hurt Angel Reese because we're not taking it. So now you're just going to hurt white women. So now white basketball players, well, you guys are now collateral damage because now we're just going to say you're all not ladylike, and you're all, you all need to change because only men can do this. And so it's just, it's like it's annoying when these things happen, but then it's helpful because more and more people wake up and it becomes more and more blatant to more people. Had this happened in 2015, 2016, we would not be having these conversations. It wouldn't have even come up in the first place. But if it had, then Angel Reese probably would have been forced to apologize by now, and people would have hid behind that. No, it's not about race. It is about sportsmanship and being ladylike and whatever. But people keep pushing the wrong things. Like, of all the things to get worked up about, a college basketball game, again, there were no riots, nobody was fighting. Like, it's literally just gestures and trash talk, and you guys are losing your minds because somebody Black is coming out on top. So then if we can't get her, then we'll just burn the whole thing down.
Wow.
That's the thread that just keeps running through all of this. But it's great to see more and more people being aware of it. And it's like it's not even becoming more obvious, just more people are woke. So
yeah, and that's a whole nother element. And I mean, I'm gonna have to ask for forgiveness on this. That's a whole nother element that I hadn't even thought about when it was like, the whole thing was like, well, neither one of them should have done it, which I didn't agree with either. Like, I'm like, if I'm in the middle of, competition and I'm murking you, like, I'm gonna tell you, like, like, I'm just that guy. But like that, I hated that narrative, but I just hated it from a competitive side. I hadn't even thought about it from like the fact that we're like, oh, they need to be ladylike. That layers in just misogyny to put the whipped cream on top of the, the dumpster fire that was the racism that started the whole thing in the first place. Like, what an incredible mess. And man, you can go off like that every single week, because that was some knowledge for the rest of us. Like, just that perspective, I think was great.
And it's like all of these things, it's all warning shots, and it's all signs of what has been, and again, what this country is, and what's to come. But also for, like, if you are not a cis het straight rich white man, you are in line to be collateral damage. You're further, you might be, further down the line, but you're in line. And so as soon as they get annoyed with the person of color, the woman, like whatever, that's standing next to you, or as soon as they get rid of us, if tomorrow DeSantis got his wish and every Black person, I don't know, was shipped off somewhere and we just weren't here anymore, there has to be somebody in the supremacy culture. There has to be somebody to look down on, right? The American dream is for me to be on top of you. Like, so there has to be somebody to be on top of. So, white women, Asian people, like these people who are, again, just a little bit closer in the line than us, you're next.
Yeah.
You're next.
It's like the old famous poem of, they came for the communist and I said nothing because I wasn't a communist. And boy, that's so powerful. And then Dr. Jill Biden, the first lady, who I think is a good person. And maybe this is another warning shot, as you said, of sometimes of us not even realizing our racism and what's inside of us. And she says, let's invite both teams to the White House, both LSU and Iowa, which I think definitely there's race there because Iowa is a mostly white basketball team. and also maybe a little misogyny in that, well, it's not about winning and losing as much for the girls, is it? It's more sportsmanship for that. I just like,
Right.
First Lady Biden, come on, this is a terrible look. And again, Angel stood her ground, and Biden didn't apologize, but they sort of backtracked on it, and she's like, no, you said it, we ain't coming, we're going to go see the Obamas instead.
Right. And I think
I loved that part of the response, by the way. It wasn't just no to the White House. It was no, we'll go over here instead.
right. And like, Jill, I think she just wasn't even thinking about it. And again, we all have all these things, all these tapes running in the back of our minds. And like, if you're not thinking about it, then you're just saying things. And so, yeah, it probably is that misogyny again. Oh, they're all girls. We'll just have a nice little tea party, slumber party. We'll braid each other's hair, and they'll all be fine. And then it's also probably like affinity. Like she probably doesn't even realize it, but she can just relate more to Caitlin Clark. Like it's just something about just seeing people that look like you that is just easier to sympathize with. And so she just probably thought, and Twitter is blowing this up, and Caitlin Clark hadn't said anything at that point, but she's probably she probably feels bad, and how can I make this better for her? And so Jill, like I don't think Jill Biden is a bad person at all. Like I think she's on it most of the time, but these
was
things
bad.
Slip out.
She did something bad, and intention and impact are two different things. And I'm sorry if I jumped in on you there, Jeremy, but the one thing that happened for our household during the George Floyd BLM season, which I hope is still going and not over, but when it was really intense, is somebody said to us, part of the problem as a white person is not only do you not understand that you have a culture, you think you are culture. You don't think that you even have a culture. And it's so important what you're saying, Janice, because we see this in Colin Kaepernick, like, don't kneel during the anthem. He finds a peaceful way to protest, don't riot, but then don't kneel. And like you said, we see it in Caribbean baseball players of color who now flip the bats and things. And, the white culture was like, oh, you don't do that. You don't show up the other team because we are the Euro white good culture. And so again, I just want to encourage every white person that's like, no, that wasn't me. And, we're not that. It's in us. We've been taught it. We can't help it. And every once in a while we have to stop when an angel reads and says, this is for everyone that looks like me. The rest of us have to stop and say, wow, I want to see this in me, if it's in me, so I can know it and get it out of me, or start to learn and start to change.
I think that's solid. And the baseball analogy is so good, right? Like it reminds me of the situation here 2 or 3 years ago with Fernando Tatis Jr. They made him apologize for hitting a home run because it wasn't the right time in the game to hit a home run. Like, do you know how stupid that sounds? Like that, like I'm not just going to walk up here and stand here. Like you gave me this stick to hit ball with, like that's the point of the game. And so, just absolutely crazy. But I think the thing that we're touching on here that is such and really talking to here is so prevalent. And that is, even for those of us who would, especially those of us who are white, cis, heterosexual, like we still have to continue constantly to examine internalized biases and this internalized and subconscious bias that we have towards people who look like us. And so I'm sure Jill Biden was sitting there and it was like, oh, Caitlin Clark hasn't been on her Twitter and she's just catching all this, like what if that was our daughter Joe, like what if that was our little girl, that kind of thing. Like would she be asking those same questions if the roles were reversed? Probably not. And I mean, I don't want to make grandiose assumptions here, but it is so much easier to sympathize with people who look like us and, you know, kind of have similar experience and background and whatever. And so we constantly, to be good allies, to be good people, we have to constantly be continuing to examine ourselves internally and say, what are the biases that I have because of the way I've been informed by my culture and my upbringing, and what parts of these things have to go?
Yeah. And like in these conversations, like I try to always remember to say, like when I'm talking about racial bias and, you know, what white people think and whatever, like that's not me pointing a finger. Like I know this because I think it too. Like it's not like we were raised in some different environment. We have the same internal dialogues and monologues and biases and things about people that look like me, and I have to do the work. So I know you guys have to do the work. And so like there is no shame in having that work to do. The only shame is in not doing it, or, you know, trying to deny that it needs to be done. Like it has to be done. All of us have to do the work, but some of us, you know, it's just more life or death for me. But we were all raised in this toxicity. It's in all of us.
Cause you're closer to the bulldozer.
Right.
Like that is such a great space to like put this whole conversation together, and the beautiful, well, or ugly picture that you painted earlier about we're all in line. It just, some of us are further down the line than others. Yeah. And you're right. Man, that is devastating thought.
My favorite Bible verse that I use often in this season, if I'm still allowed to use the Bible on the show, is Romans 12:2. It says, "Don't be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so you can know what is good and right." And I love that verse. Some people we were taught, like, don't be conformed to that world out there, but what it literally says is don't be conformed to the era that you're in. And I think if it were written today, it would be, don't be conformed to your echo chamber. Don't be stuck in a mindset, but always be being changed wholly by ongoing renewing of your mind, which would be challenging our mindset. Did I believe something before that maybe even helped me have safety for a season, but is unhealthy to bring into the next season? So I can know what is good and right. And some translations even say the perfect will of God. And so if you're not being transformed, according to that verse, you're not going to know what's good and right in a season. And this comment, it's ironic. I remember when Title IX really came in heavy into college athletics, and it really hit us out here in California. And now that we see the trans issues and how Christians are so concerned about women losing scholarships to these trans women. I'm sorry, in the 90s when Title IX came in, Christians didn't give a shit about women's sports. And in many ways we're saying, why do we want to spend money on women's sports and take it away from the boys? The boys play sports, not the girls. Why are we taking money from the boys for the girls? So there's so much hypocrisy in all of this that we're seeing.
Right.
Yeah. Talking about coming into a new age and a renewing of your mind and seeing things in a different way. I've got a lot going on in my world right now. And I feel like I need a word, I feel like I need to be spoken into. And so I don't know if maybe we want to go to a mid-roll, and I'm going to lay out a little challenge, in this space to kind of see who can speak into my life the best. So maybe on the other side, we'll do that.
Okay. All right. This will be interesting.
Holy Spirit, activate.
Do you want more of Evangelicalish? Go to our website, evangelicalish.com, and join our Ish community for bonus episodes and private Zoom hangouts where we expand on the topics we cover in the show. Levels start at just $5 a month, and we absolutely love the community that we've built here so far and are so appreciative of all the love and support. And now, back to the Evangelicalish podcast.
Welcome back into the Evangelicalish podcast. It is so good to be spending time with all of you. And
by the way, Jeremy, let me give you props on that transition there. That was brilliant. You are a pro, my friend.
Buddy, you put that on the tee. Like it, I thought that's where you were going, and I thought, golly, he's really good. Like he just set himself up so good to transition. Anyway,
yeah, I meant to do that. That's
no,
right.
this is why I love you, Paul, for sure. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't just say, as we kind of go into this last segment, thank you so much to Janice. She's going to be with us for the month of April, and we could not be more thankful for her joining us as a co-host and her insight and input into these conversations over the next several weeks. We're just super thrilled about that. Obviously, we're going to miss April with all of our hearts, but to have an incredible co-host of this caliber is just so exciting, and I'm just going to be honest. Like you were hands down my favorite interview of the entire show, and when you gave us the green light to come on and just not to be interviewed, but just to add perspective into the space, I was super grateful. So, and I know the community as well. So.
Jerry Bear.
This is Jerry Bear. This is how we, the old people, do it. Okay. Do you know how the kids are doing it now?
I saw it the other day. What is it? Something like that?
Oh, look at that.
It's this. They're doing this now.
I saw somebody do this the other day, and that's like a little heart. Your fingers make a little.
Isn't
heart.
that weird? But they do it so natural. I don't know. Anyway,
These kids,
I did
tell
that.
you.
I did that at school the other day. I was like, "Oh, y'all are great," and they were like, "Clunky heart, Mr. Coleman." And I was like, "What is the?" Yeah, I was like, "What is the other option?" And they were like, "You have to do it like this." I was like, "Oh my gosh." Y'all are going to change the world, but I won't change. No. All right.
Seems woke to me. Get that out of here.
Seems woke to me. You can take your woke heart somewhere else. Yeah. All right. So, Paul, it is no secret that you come from, the evangelical Pentecostal background, and as a pastor, and
hallelujah,
someone in that space, you've been given prophetic words. I'm sure you've given prophetic words at times, and Janice, I know you came from your boy Carl Lentz's lineage there, but you have since found a new way to enter into the prophetic space, the realm of the spiritual. Kind of share with our folks about that.
Yeah. So, I won't take up too much time, but tarot. I play around with tarot cards these days, and like I was telling Paul the other day, like I just think for me, it's just a way to kind of get an outside word that gives me permission to do something that I wanted permission to do. And
that's so good.
And I think that's what prophecy is too. Like it's just giving you nudges and allowing you to consider things, to think about things, and to maybe move in a direction that you kind of wanted to anyway, but it just feels like, oh, here's a little extra wind at my back.
The universe gives you that little nudge right there.
Yeah, as long as you don't mind getting words from demons, I guess it's okay, right?
I actually, to be honest,
the demons have been around. They've seen a lot. They know things too. So
they're everywhere. Listen to the Christians talk about it. They're just like. They are just as powerful as God. They're also omnipresent. So listen, if Jesus was watching you do the dirty stuff, so were the demons. They were there cheering you on. And I mean, we all need fans. So,
oh shoot, when I was a kid and heard how the devil controlled rock music and controlled billiards
The devil has all the cool
tables,
stuff. Let's just
I
be
was like,
honest.
man, I wish God was cool like the devil,
I remember in my very young evangelical days, like when I was a kid, my parents used to listen to a band called Jeff Moore and the Distance. I don't know. That probably does not ring any bells for very many people. But they had a song. They were a Christian rock band, and they had a song called "Why Does the Devil Have All the Good Music?" Which today I'm like, yeah, that's really, whatever. Like I could appreciate that stand back in the early 90s or whatever.
It is interesting though, because I had a woman that called herself a Christian witch on my individual podcast, and she said, "You want me to do a tarot card reading and for you?" And I was like, "Oh no!" Like, is a demon going to jump on me? And I even had a friend like call me up afterward, and he's like, "Man, that's I'm with you on this journey, but don't go into the dark arts, man. Don't go into the dark arts." So I'm taking it, Janice, that you found it to be helpful and light and not the dark arts.
Yeah, I really don't know what I would consider a dark art at this point. Like, how is Hillsong Church not a dark art? How is hiring Carl Lentz not the work of a demon? Like,
that's you, Michael Todd.
Yeah, like, so some cards.
Yeah. It's interesting because you remind me. I asked this woman. I said, "Can witches access something from a dark spirit?" And she said, "Yes, and so can Christians." And it's like, okay, boom, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a prophesy off here.
Yeah, and I do want to say, actually, Janice, not to derail the conversation, but actually the way you expressed, like you talked about this in our pre-show meeting, was really like healthy, in the sense that like it almost sounds like you're using these tarot card readings for like kind of a moment of meditation to kind of evaluate things and whatever. And I actually really loved that. I just had to say that, and that was something kind of behind the scenes, but I would be remiss without saying it. So yes, we are going to have a prophecy off. We're gonna allow Paul to speak a word into my life. We're gonna let Janice do a tarot card reading for me, and we're just gonna see. Over the coming days, weeks, months, we don't know. Only the Holy Spirit or the cards know. And we will find out which through our next season of life. So don't expect an immediate result here, friends. This is not the internet. We're not high speed with this. We're going to wait for whatever spirits want to go to work to begin to work. So let us begin.
And then we're gonna give it a year, and then, as the Bible says, whoever was wrong is getting stoned. So,
well, I live in California, so getting stoned has a whole nother meaning out here. So,
who gets to make that distinction? Like, who gets to decide who gets stoned?
I guess it'll be you, Jeremy, because it'll be
boy.
what.
Yes, you will be the judge.
And everyone who's watching, they'll know. So
this absolutely puts me on this show at this point. Absolutely puts me furthest from the bulldozer at this point. So, I am now living the American dream.
You get to drive the bulldozer.
I'm driving the bulldozer.
There's a part of me that feels, like when we did our fake altar calls, I was like, oh my God, I'm going straight to hell now. There's no doubt about that. And I'm feeling a little bit that way today. So I do want to.
This was your idea.
I know. And I think I know, like I said, straight to hell, do not pass go. I do believe there is something divine out there, and we can access it. In the New Testament, it says we're seated with Christ in heavenly realms. Jesus prayed, let it be on earth as it is in heaven. I think we can reach into heaven and and pull things out. And by heaven, I mean something of the divine, of something bigger than us, and pull it into this world. And that membrane can be thicker and thinner at different times. And so even though we're having fun with this and make fun, I really am going to try to get a prophetic word. And I really do think Janice is going to try to do the same I'm going to use my training as prophecy, and Janice is going to use the cards as the conduit. And we're both going to try to access something beautiful from heaven for you, Jeremy.
And in about 12 months, one of you will be dead.
All right.
I'm really excited about this. All right. So, I mean, yeah, what do y'all, you going to play paper, rock, scissors? How do we choose?
I'm gonna let Paul go first.
You're going to let me go first?
Your whole life is like in front of you at this point. So no pressure.
So how this works for me is I just try to, and I've been trying for a little bit just to feel my spirit sort of expand and be bigger than my body, and start to think with my spirit rather than my cognizant mind. And so this is, so I just have this sense of like, ooh, there's a thought in my head that I don't think came from me. And then I pull that and I share it. And the way I do it is like, this is not thus saith the Lord. This is me having a sense of something, and I'm just going to share it. And if it feeds you and encourages you, then take it and run with it. And if you say that is all total bullshit, that's cool too. And you can reject it and say it's not for me. So this is what
and stone him immediately.
And stone me immediately.
And I was like, no skin off my nose, but it's not going to be good for you.
So what I am hearing from heaven is there is a gift for you, Jeremy, of being able to see where the Spirit is going in this season. Like I think what a lot of us are looking for on this journey is like, where do I find my spirituality in this season? And you, because of your heart and preparation of what you've come from, I think have a gift to look for that. And so what I heard in my spirit was somebody you met somewhat recently, I don't know how long ago, is somebody that either has come back around in your life or is going to come back around in your life. And they're going to be somebody that's either going to partner with you in this walk and help you really find a new spirituality in this season, an expansion of your spirituality, maybe even something that will impact your church ministry that you're doing. And so I would just encourage you to keep an eye out of, if you have somebody that sort of like circles back and you're like, that's a little too ironic to be ironic, and maybe it's providential, then let me encourage you with this word and say that person is somebody just to interact with, and you're going to see something of where the Spirit is going in this season that's going to kind of expand your ability to access heaven and all of that. So how did I do?
I love that. That's got some high level potential. I'll be honest.
Okay.
I've got some folks that I'm seeing in my mind and in my heart right now that could potentially be that person. And so we're gonna have to wait and see if that proves to be true, and if you get to live. So.
And I like what Only Farms Troll Mafia says here. Sometimes our words are pretty broad, and you can say, yeah, that's not too specific, but I'm in it. I'm here for that critique, and that can be.
No, I think that's actually really solid, and I'll be honest. That is something that I'm open to in my world right now. So for your sake, I hope it happens, but
me too.
Oh man, you're rooting for Paul?
I'm rooting for everyone to live.
What if we both get it right? What if we stone Jeremy?
Yeah, well, if you don't fulfill these words, that's on you.
Listen, I'm gonna guarantee you, if that's the case, not both of y'all gonna be right. Okay.
Yeah, you're the judge. You're the judge.
I will flat out ignore a blessing go right by my head. I'm not gonna admit
it. All right, Janice, show us how it's done.
All right. So the way I do it, because I'm not, again, this is just something I do for myself. I'm not a tarot reader. But like when I'm meditating and I'm doing my thing, I just pull usually 3 cards, and then I'm learning as I'm going. So I like see what this card, I look at it, I see what it kind of feels like to me. And then I just literally go on Google and say, what does the card mean? Write down some notes from that, and then do the other cards, and then just, kind of see what it's all saying to me. So I did that for Jeremy earlier. I pulled 3 cards.
Ooh, you came prepared in advance.
You brought
Yeah,
receipts.
because this takes time.
Okay.
So I'll give you just the cards, a quick overview, and then the little word I put together based off of that. So the first card that I pulled, and I've never pulled this card before, and it's so dramatic. It is the Death card.
Wait, hang on. Let it. I want to see it. Let's.
What's this?
Yeah, the reflection makes it. The Death card. Oh my
Death card.
gosh!
And it's the Death card reversed. And so the Death card, it's just about change. It's basically saying that big change is coming, not death. But yeah, just change, the death of something could be. The second card is the Ace of Wands. And wands are about creativity. And this is like the biggest creative card. So you see it's like the hand holding the stick with these sprouts. So it has to do with like creativity, creative ideas. And then the third card, the Knight of Cups. And this is like the most romantic, kind of the most feminine knight. And this is a card about feelings. So based on those, very general, and then I have more notes if you want the notes later.
I think that was a great overview.
What do those cards together? Is there some? I'm sorry, I'm jumping in there.
No,
Yeah,
she's
man.
about to give me her word. I'm ready to receive it.
Okay, sorry about that. Go for it.
So the Death card again is change, and the reverse Death card indicates like a resistance to a change, a resistance to something coming. And so with the other cards, so what I came up with is like there's a change that you know you need to make, that you want to make, but you've been kind of resisting. And I think it is something creative. And like with the Knight card being again about feelings, I think this is a situation where there's something that you've been thinking about, there's some idea that you have, and you're feeling it. It's not making sense just yet. And this has to be something where you are following your heart. Like you have to go with your intuition on this. The Ace of Wands is also about like now, like if you were looking for a sign, this is your sign. The answer is yes, move forward now. And so with that, with it starting out with that reverse death, I think there's something that you want to do. There's that is coinciding with like the changes you have been undergoing. And this is, I'm going to pull from evangelicalism and my own knowledge of evangelicalism, and to know that we were taught in so many ways to never trust our feelings. And so coming out of evangelicalism and considering new ways to do things, I think we still tend to approach everything first logically, and we try to make things make sense. But there comes a point where sometimes to break that habit, like you're going to have to just go with your feelings, and it's not going to make sense until after you do it. But the time is now. You have the idea, you have the feeling, and it's okay. It's time to go with that. And it will make sense on the other end, but it won't right now. So stop resisting and just do it.
Paul, you're in trouble.
That was a much, that was. Sorry, I'll let you guys. I just was gonna say, like I'm fighting back tears on this. That so touched my heart and my spirit. That was beautiful.
I think you have insight kind of, Paul, from just some of our private conversations.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I mean, that's as far as I'll go, but
I would say, Janice, like,
am I gonna live?
I was like, Janice was in one of our meetings recently, somehow, some way.
Janice, we both knew you weren't going to die. Okay. Like we knew that. Anyway, so Paul, no, I actually think both of those from the traditions and that they come from and the spaces that you both come from, either now or where you've been. I think there's just a lot of validity in that. I know that we've had some fun with this and kind of goofed around, said some more serious things, but I do want to say that I think that we should encourage the people who are listening and the people who are, watching live tonight. It is okay, even after deconstructing or walking away from the evangelical space and the destruction and all of that stuff. It is okay to still be very much in tune with your spiritual side and your spirit. And I think that there are a lot of different ways, like Paul mentioned, and you did really beautifully. Like, there are a lot of different ways to access that for everyone. Mm-hmm. And we respect you in that journey. We appreciate you in that journey. And we affirm you in that journey. And so there are ways that we can speak powerfully into each other's lives. And all kidding aside, I will say, I think both of those definitely give me just food for reflection, meditation, and thought, which I think is ultimately what this like spiritual thing is about anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How to best reflect on ourselves. So whether it's pulling a card or whether it's just sitting with those, I think you painted a really great picture, Paul, of like, I'm trying to just expand out past myself a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I look into myself versus look out from myself like I always do. I think there's something really great about that. And so I think we would, I would hate to end this like we were making fun of either one of these traditions, because I want to say that, however you access the divine, spirituality, all of those things, is good. And I will say you both gave me things to meditate and reflect on, which is the goal of both of those processes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And I think you said that so well, Jeremy. And I wondered in deconstruction, do I still get to experience heaven, for want of a better word? And so while we're having fun with this, just like I said, even listening to Janice share that word just made me think like, I do get to, the bastards don't get to steal it from me. I still get to experience heaven. Like, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And we don't have to be afraid of the conduit. We don't have to be afraid of our feelings and all of that stuff. So thank you for doing that, Janice. That was wonderful.
Yeah. That was
Thank
really
you
great.
for letting me bring this darkness in here.
I feel like I need to go take a bath in some holy water. Feel like I don't know who I need to see about that. Like, I feel a little uncomfortable going to Catholic church, but like, Carl Lentz is here. Anyway, all right. We appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us tonight. I think we are going to be great over the next couple of weeks. I think it's going to be a good time. For those of you who may not have been in at the beginning of the show, April is taking a sabbatical, 80 straight episodes in a row that she's been on the field for us. And so we're super grateful for her and her commitment to the Evangelicalish community. She deserves this time to go work on things that she's been given the opportunity to do and to make some changes with her family. And so we wish her nothing but love and the very best in that process. And we are super grateful again to have Janice on with us for the month of April. And so don't forget to go to evangelicalish.com, join the Ish community. You can join there, chat board, extra episodes, all sorts of good stuff. We're super grateful for each and every single one of you that help support this stream of ours and just creating this space of good conversations. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Y'all got anything else?
That was fun. Let's do it again next week.
All right. And if one of us is not here next week, You'll know what happened. All right. We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
No.